Here we are uncrating a X-Pro Bolt 110cc kids quad. We're using a 13mm socket and wrench to disassemble the crate, removing all the plastic and all the extra hardware and parts that are loosely attached to the machine with zip ties. Using some cutters to just cut those zip ties and get everything neatly organized on the table. Use somebody to help you remove the quad off of the crate, and we're going to be installing the bars. So as you see here, there's a little indentation on the top triple clamp where the bolts sit flush in, and then the bottom are completely flat. So the clamps on the bottom are completely flat. Put them both down, roll the bars up and over onto those clamps, install the top triple clamps, tighten them down, and make sure the gaps are even on both sides. Now you're going to see the throttle and brake assembly is loose. Go ahead and put it at the angle that you like. Snug it up with a 4mm Allen. Now we're going to finish just taking it out of the crate. There's some wire tie up in the front. I just used some cutters to get it out. And then the rear swing arm is bolted down by 13mm bolts. So you'll need a 13mm socket and a wrench. Now we're inflating the tires. I set my tire pressures around 6 to 7 psi. This is the front wheel. As you can tell, the center of the hub is missing bolts in the hardware. As you can tell, that's going to be for the front since the hub's already bolted onto the front of the quad. There's an arrow on the tire just showing you what direction the tire goes. So you want the arrow pointing to the front of the machine. The tire pressure is between 4 and 10 psi on these little quads. Do not exceed 24 psi for seating the bead. This is the rear. As you can tell, the hub assembly is bolted onto the wheel and it's got the splines in the center. You'll be able to tell that that is the rear. Again, just make sure you have the arrow in the correct location. Now lift the front of the machine up, have somebody slide just a regular block underneath just to get the front end up in the air. So the front shock absorbers are already bolted on in the 110. I'm thinking the bigger kids quads might come with the shocks out, so you can skip that step. But now we're going to install the front wheels with the flange nuts. There's 6 of those, 3 for each side. Couldn't find any torque specs I was comfortable with, so I just snugged it up to what I thought was right. Now we're going to move on to the rear. And we're going to show you how to put the rear wheels on. As you can see, there's a cotter pin that's just loosely in there. It's got a slight bend. Just straighten it out a little bit, slide it out, remove the nut and both washers. You got a flat washer and then a beveled washer. That beveled washer is going to go on the outside for the center cap to fit around. I am greasing up the splines. That way, if I need to take this back off again, it should slide right off and help wearing out those splines. I'm just using all-purpose high-temp grease. You can use anything you would like, grease, anti-seize, anything of that sort. So we're sliding the wheel on. Going to install both washers. Flat one first, the beveled one last, just like that. We're going to use a 24 millimeter socket to snug that up. I did try and torque it, but I didn't like the way it felt, so I backed it off, just snugged it up, lined up the hole, and installed the cotter pin. I put the long tab out facing the outside of the machines just so it's easy to grab and flip up, and you can use a pair of pliers to do that. I'm going to go to the other side and do the same exact thing. Just snugged it up, lined up the hole so you can slide the cotter pin in nicely, and that should do it. A long tab facing out. Now we're going to go and install all the center caps. They're little rubber center caps that you just got to massage over that silver ring. We're going to install the front bumper. Here's the front bumper. It's held on by 4 bolts, 2 long bolts with flange locking nut, and then 2 shorter flange bolts. The 2 long flange bolts with the flange nuts go on the top, just like this. One for each side. And shorter flange bolts go on the bottom. And as you can see here, I kind of leave everything loose just so you can get everything hand tight in there and nothing's going in cross threaded. Then we're going to go ahead and snug it up. Here's a 10 millimeter socket and wrench. Just going to snug it up, and then what we're going to do after we snug it up is we're going to adjust and align the bumper up so it looks nice and square with the machine. Now we're going to install the front reflectors, the 2 round gold ones and the 1 square white one. And inside the front bumper kit, the bolts for the reflectors are also in that baggie. Now we're going to move on to the rear rack. This one's got 4 flange bolts and nuts. The one that I'm installing there is a little tricky. There's some wiring behind it. It makes it a little tight to get in there. Doing the same thing as I did at the front. I'm just snugging them up. I'm going to line up the bumper and then I will tighten them down. I'm going to install the other 3 reflectors. These ones are all red and they go on the rear. Now we're going to install the little bushing for the flag. Here's the bushing. You just slide it down. And then I use the flag and I push the rest of it in until it's sitting nice and recessed in there. Just like that. And there you go. A couple extra pieces that weren't in the directions. Toss those babies on. And now we're going to install the battery. So here's the battery. Red is positive, black is negative. There's red and black. Now we're going to install the battery screw bolts, or nuts I should say. They go in the bottom. And you can slide the battery in and put your terminals on. Always start off with the positive first. Kind of just moving some of the wires out of the way so it's just nicely in there and not getting binded up or anything like that. Now I would add dielectric grease if you have it right to the terminals, just so you don't build up any corrosion in there after time and have a bad connection later, but I couldn't find mine, so that's a problem that future me will deal with. Just tuck the wires away nice and neatly so they're not getting caught or pinched on by the seat. And after it was all together, I noticed there was a nice clunking noise coming from the front. So I saw that the front brake cable was rubbing onto that little plate right there, just like that. So I threw a little zip tie on below it, right to the frame. And it stopped that from making the noise and cutting up the wire. Now that will complete the process of assembling the X Pro 110cc bolt.